who did you have winning that before they fought?
I've been picking Bud for probably like 3 years, and I had him stop him in the seventh round. I kept saying the seventh,
What round did it end in?
the ninth.
Ah, okay. Yeah, you did say he's gonna stop him, and I was leaning towards Bud, but just like a lean,
Yeah,
not what happened.
yeah.
Um, so you weren't surprised at all.
Only thing I was surprised about was how easy it was happening. Like that part was fucking me up. Like I was like, this shit looked too easy. You know what I mean? I ain't think it would look like that. I thought it would. I thought actually Spence would probably knock Bud down before he stopped him, but you know what I mean. It was kind of easy from the first round on.
Did you notice anything different in Bud? Like a lot of people were saying that he looked like he might have been high or something up off about him slower.
You mean Spence?
Spence, my bad, yeah.
It's like the only thing I noticed that I spoke on was when I gave my breakdown about the media day. I spoke on his balance not being the same. Like I saw him when he was doing mitt work, right? Like a lot of times when guys doing mitt work, the shit is routine
Right.
because you're working with your trainer who you've been working on the same shit with over and over. So he threw a left hand and Derek James threw a right hook back, like for him to catch it, and it hit him. But when it hit him, it tipped him over, and it wasn't like a dramatic tip over. But I
Right.
just saw it, and I was like, "Yo, his balance don't look good." You know what I mean?
I noticed, and now let me preface this by saying I don't think this had anything to do with Bud winning. I think Bud was just a better fighter. But I did notice that he looked a little glazed over, Spence, to me, the night of the fight, and his speech was a little slower. People were saying he was high, like on weed. I don't think he smoked weed, but he did kind of have. I mean, did you notice that?
I mean, he ever since the accident, I noticed his speech and everything was different, and he did like slow down, and I would imagine that happening with coming off of those accidents and then sparring and then shit like that. Nobody's going to be normal after some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I saw some of it, but I didn't think it would be that bad.
Yeah. It was weird, and like you said, that there was a balance thing. He did look a little, but I don't know how much of that was also Bud just touching him, and he could have just his equilibrium could have been off. I mean, who
Yeah.
knows in the ring?
I think honestly though, like aside from all the outside of the ring shit, I think Errol Spence really thought in his mind he was going to do whatever he wanted to, Bud. And the disrespect showed because it was like when he started getting hit, he didn't have any type of answers. He didn't have any type of game plans. It wasn't like a B, C, D type of thing. It was just game plan A, and if that don't work, we don't have shit else. And it was like he just ain't have no. He didn't have any adjustments.
Yeah, it was just like keep. I think even Derek said this at one point, but he's like, just keep chopping him, chopping away, chopping away. He thought he could just keep chopping away.
Yeah,
But
but showed that it was going to take more than that.
yeah, man. I mean, at what point in that fight to you did you see proof that like, okay, this is gonna be over?
I think it was like the fifth round. I think the fifth round was like, bro, this shit, like he get ready to stop him because it was just he had at that point he had landed probably like 4 or 5 jabs that was like power jabs and knocked him off balance. Then he started to countering. Once a guy start getting countered, what I mean, too easy, you start to really see it unfold. Like, all right, it's nothing he can do.
Right. And a lot of people talked on saying that Spence might have a weakness towards fighting fellow southpaws.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I don't think. See, what people don't get is people think southpaw is a style. It's not a style. It's a stance. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So because if you talk about southpaws, you could say like a great southpaw like Sweet Pea Whitaker, and then a great southpaw like Pacquiao. They don't fight the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just the stance.
Right.
So I don't think that he got problem with southpaws. I think he just had a problem with with Bud Crawford's southpaw stance. Like, you know what I mean? It was very sturdy. You know what I mean? It was paced out. He wasn't in there moving too fast, but he wasn't moving too slow. He was moving at like a perfect speed. You know what I mean? He wasn't doing too much, but he was doing just enough. And he was catching Earl Spence in between shots, and that shit just was bothering him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Bud's Bud's jab, which I think he's a natural right-handed person in life, right?
Yeah,
That jab was like a shotgun blast.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And one thing I saw, well, I don't know if you saw the same thing though. I saw Bud setting a lot of traps
yeah,
to make Errol engage, and then he would counter him.
yeah. And to be honest, in the past, a lot of people wasn't comfortable with letting Earl rip to their body and shit like that. They didn't really have a game plan for that. But I saw in times where Spence, Crawford would put himself on the ropes and let Earl rip to the body, and then he would counter him right back from there. It was like, you know what I mean? He just had him down pat. You could just tell that Crawford studied Earl Spence a whole lot for that fight.
Yeah, man. I mean, do you think there's any kind of a difference in the outcome at 54?
I think Earl Spence looks a little healthier and a little stronger, but I think same type of fight, like not as easy. I think it'll be a little bit better, but I think he'll end up stopping him still.
Yeah. I mean, do you even want to see that rematch?
No, I don't.
Me neither. But, is it going to be triggered? I heard, I'm not so sure if this is true, but there's like 5 days left for him that he has like a period of time to actually trigger it.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, if he want to cash out, I ain't mad at him, but he didn't put on the type of performance that would make me want to see that fight again.
Right.
You know, he kind of just took an ass whooping, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was weird. It was almost a letdown because it was so uncompetitive.
Right, right. Because
Like,
the build up was massive, but it was like the fight wasn't like that.
can you? What was the last? Can you think of a mega fight that was that one-sided?
I don't know. Not off top.
Nah, I can't either. Maybe Pacquiao De La Hoya, maybe. I mean, but
Yeah, he beat the shit
beat
out
it,
of him.
yeah.
Yeah,
And De La Hoya was favored, which I didn't even realize. But yeah, so
yeah,
it was insane. And then um, he did that gangster shit, where he goes in the corner as Spence is being counted, and he looks over at Jamel Charlo, grabs his nuts, and is like, "You next."
yeah,
That's some gangster shit right there.
yeah. He was on the high, but you got to remember, Derek James had made a statement about his mom not needing dancing shoes.
Nope.
You know what I mean? It was her birthday. It was a lot that went into that fight. You know what I mean? You can't lose on your mom's birthday, and then if you do, it can't be you can't get beat up. So I knew Bud was just bringing a lot to the table.
Yeah,
He was just bringing
yeah,
a lot to the table.
he sure was, man. It was, to me, the most impressive part, as I said, was the counter punching, um,
Hmm.
and the strength he had. Like a couple people talk about with the time that they knew in the fight was when I guess at one point Bud kind of pushed Spence off of him, and you just saw how much physically stronger he was.
Yeah, yeah, that was the second round.
That was second round. To me, what did it was the third round. If you remember, he drops him in the second,
Yeah,
and the second the bell rings in the third, Spence throws an overhand left really hard that lands flush, but it did nothing.
yeah.
I was like, ooh, that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, just proper preparation. I felt like, you know what I mean, Crawford really trained for that fight. He really was prepared. He really studied. He really understood what he would have to go through. You know what I mean? He didn't, and he wasn't moved by anything. He was very composed. He was locked in. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
He was just in that space where you would like your fighter to be. You know what I mean? On a night like that, for sure.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, shit, he even won the ring entrance.
Right, right,
Shit,
right,
the
right.
ring walk, he even won that. Damn. I mean, um, so Canelo and Charlo fight, and I want to ask you about that. But first, I want to continue on this Bud topic. Does Bud beat either the winner, either Canelo or Charlo? Because that's probably who he's going to fight next.
I mean, I can't really say, but the thing is, I appreciate a guy like Bud because he's making boxing interesting. You know what I mean? By even taking these type of guys on, even talking about fighting. He could have easily just stayed at 47 or went to 54 and picked his way through the division. You know what I mean? But he's going at the Sharks. He won all the Sharks, all the big guys. And I love that he's doing that because that's what the game is about. You know what I mean? You got to challenge yourself. And if you want to make great money, you got to put yourself in great situations. So I think that's like perfect situation for him, but I can't say he'll beat Jamel Charlo. I can't say he'll beat Canelo. You know what I mean? That those would be the next two biggest fights of his career, so I don't know.
Because, we're in a weird point of time with this whole thing because you got these guys jumping weight, going down in weight, and you don't even know, like, Charlo is 154, but his brother fights at 60. He's about 6 feet. I mean, so, like, is he really going that far out of his comfort zone to fight Canelo in terms of weight? You know what I mean? Like, because Bud, if you remember, initially was like, I wouldn't fight Canelo unless it's like 158, 160. But just like a couple of days ago on Joe Rogan, he was like, I thought about it, and he's like, I want this challenge. I'd fight him at 68. I want to be three division undisputed.
Yeah.
So is that too much for somebody like Bud, you think, stepping up
I mean,
3 weight
you
class?
can't, I mean, listen, if you think back in the day, you know what I mean, well, I got 2 points about back in the day. One thing back in the day, we saw Roberto Duran go from like 126 all the way to light heavyweight.
True.
We saw James Toney go from 154, 160 all the way to heavyweight. We saw Tommy Hearns go from 47 all the way to light heavyweight. We saw Sugar Ray Leonard go from welterweight all the way to damn near super middleweight. You know what I
Right.
mean? So this is something that has been done. The thing is now, here's to the point of what these guys are doing. Guys like Bud Crawford. Now, Mark, how old are you?
I'm 46.
All
I
right,
had to think about it.
all right, so you older than me.
Right.
But I remember back in the day when you was watching the pros, they never had to lose 30 pounds,
Nah.
40 pounds. You know what I mean? To make weight. Now, today's game, that's the norm. Guys are losing 30 pounds, 40 pounds to make weight. So with me saying that, Bud probably walk around already 170, 175 pounds.
Probably.
So coming down to 68, yeah, it's not a big drop to come down, but the real challenge would be just carrying a 168-pound body and fighting at that weight.
Well, also, who he's fighting also walks around it way heavier. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah. So we dealing with guys who are that size, but you know what I mean, in their careers, we don't know them for being, you know what I mean? Canelo, yeah, we know him for being that big, but you know what I mean, Crawford, you couldn't imagine him turning pro at 135 pounds and then being super middleweight champ of the world. But these things have happened in the past, so I'm not going to act like I never seen it, but I think he does fare out pretty well because Canelo isn't tall. He's not a tall guy. He's just a husky motherfucker. Like he's stocky. So, we talking about two guys that are probably about like 5'9" each, and then you know what I mean,
5'8".
matching up at 5'8", 5'9", yeah. So you know what I mean. I think it could be a good match.
So you couldn't. Okay, so somebody puts a gun to your head, says choose who wins, Canelo or Bud. Who do you pick?
I don't know.
You
I
can't
might
do
have to take the bullet. I might have to because you can say Canelo, right? You can say Canelo with all the big fight experience, but Canelo is on a decline slowly, not so much drastically like that. He's getting knocked out and shit like that, but you can see him just not really. He's
Right.
not. Think about it like this. Canelo been in there with everybody, right? He's not really interested. He's
Right.
he is because he's Canelo and he likes to fight, but he's really not interested. Because is Crawford really a big name when you've been in there with Mayweather, when you've been in there with Shane Mosley, when you've been in there with Cotto, all of these guys? Is Crawford really? And I'm not trying to disrespect
I get
Crawford,
it.
but I'm just saying, like, are you really seeing this as a big fight? You know
Right.
what I mean? Or is it like, you know what? Fuck it. It's another payday.
Right.
You know?
It's kind of a lose-lose for Canelo to take it because of what you just said.
Yeah.
You
So,
win, you beat a smaller guy.
right. So what I'm trying to say is like Canelo for that exact reason could go in there and lose. But because he's the bigger guy, because he's the more experienced guy, he could go in there and win. So that's why I'm saying 50-50 is tough. Because
What about
Crawford is good enough to go in there and beat him.
true? Well, what about Bud against Jamel?
Um
How do you see that playing out? Because
Now
that could very well.
Jamel, here's the thing about Jamel. Jamel, no matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody thinks, he's strong from 1 to 12. He can hurt
He's strong from
you
what?
from 1 to 12, from first round to 12th round. He's physically strong. He can hurt you at any round, at any point. Now the skill set, yeah, you got to give it to Bud. Got to give it to Bud when it comes to skill set. But you know what I mean, can Bud handle that type of pressure all night? You know what I mean, if they fight. So that's why I think that's a great fight too, as well.
Yeah, and I wonder, because at some point size can matter. It doesn't always
Yeah,
matter. I wonder if that reach and with Jamel, you know, do you think Jamel has the power to really make a difference against Bud?
I think Jamel's power is not like the type of power where it's like a Tommy Hearns, but I think it's the type of power where it's like he can overwhelm you. He can work you. You know what I mean? He can work you and feel like the pressure is becoming too much, and then he wear at you. And he can punch. You know what I mean? He can punch. I feel like any man can
Right.
punch, especially with them fight night gloves on. You know what I mean? Those gloves. If you haven't worn a pair of 8 ounces or 10 ounces, then you don't really understand. But you know what I mean? Anybody can punch. So I
Right.
think Jamel being that size, you know what I mean? Yeah, I think he can punch. I think he can definitely make something happen. But I
Hmm.
think Bud is sharp enough to, make him look like a fool too.
Well, so then the question is this. Let's say Spence doesn't trigger the rematch clause, medical issues, whatever. And let's say Canelo and Charlo, well, they're not fighting for a few months anyway. And let's say that it's close, they do a rematch, that takes them off the table. So who does Bud fight if not for one of those three guys
I think
next?
I think Bud and Tim Zoo.
If Tim
Oh,
Tszyu gets that belt,
oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's the only reason I'm saying Tim Zoo because they talking about passing him the, I believe it's the WBO or something like
And
that. So
know, I want to see him fight your boy from Philly.
who that? Danny?
No, no, Boots.
Yeah, but he not gonna fight Boots.
No, he's not. Which she said made it clear, but and that's a little. While I get it, because he said he's looking for legacy or for big money, I get it. But at the same time, Boots, I think, really is one of the only people who can really seems like give him skill wise a challenge.
Yeah, skill wise, Boots Ennis definitely could give him a run. The thing is, like I said, when you trying to stack the names on your record and you look back at a Boots is gonna give you championship caliber fight, but without the championship caliber experience. So it's like if I beat him, it's like damn, I beat an up and coming kid. You know what I mean? Who is going to be great. He want to fight guys who are great right now. And I'm not mad at him for that. I want to see the Boots fight too, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Nah, he made it pretty clear, and I get it. It must be frustrating for Boots though.
Yeah, but at the same time, Boots is 25, 26 years old.
Young, yeah.
So you gotta see. The thing is, Boots' career to me is going to resemble Bud's career, where he didn't get his just
You
due
think
until
so?
he's yeah because Boots, a lot of people not gonna fight Boots right now. It's not just a guy like Bud. It's a lot of people. And the thing is, he's going to get his credit when he turns about 30 and he get a mega fight with somebody. But the
Yeah,
thing is, the truth is, he gotta wait his turn.
right.
That's really
And
the truth.
Boots is a quiet dude, so he doesn't have that personality where he's going talking shit on social media and trying to.
Right,
Right.
right, right, right.